Hello everyone and welcome to this half moon and warrior three practice. So we're going to be practicing some balancing poses and we can do those with a chair or with blocks. I personally like using a chair because it just is more stable. And so if you're new to practicing these movements, having a chair or a stool, something that's a little bit higher off the ground, can be really helpful. So I'll grab my blocks and my stool. So I'll show both. You can also bring your hands down to the ground. It's not really within my mobility to bring my hands all the way down to the ground and still be able to balance. So if you can do that, go for it. I'm going to stand in my mountain pose. Bring my hands down by my side, taking a breath. Maybe you want to squeeze your butt, engage your core, hands down. Maybe we want to take a step back. So I'm taking a step back with my right foot, and it's coming to be on like a 45-degree angle. So it's not parallel with the back of the mat. It's on that angle, and I'm bending into that front knee. Noticing how this feels. If you feel wobbly here, you can take it a little bit wider so there's more space between your legs. Turn to face forward. Raising your hands up towards the sky. Maybe bring your hands behind you for a back bend, and then coming up to neutral. We can think about bending into that front knee, and maybe we want to think about coming up onto our back toes, and then coming back. Bending that front knee, back toes. So here we're just practicing putting our weight into that front leg. The key is making sure it's bent, and then coming up. We can also think about placing our foot really more in the center of our body. So when we turn to look over that front leg, is that leg sort of close to the center of ourselves? That's going to help balance as well. You lean in, raise that foot up. This time maybe you want to raise it up off the ground. And we have the option here, coming from that warrior one, leaning forward and lifting up that back leg. Now, you can bring your hands down to something. So that's why I have the chair or the block. You can also bring them down to the ground. I just don't have that mobility. When I bend, things get all stuck together. And so my fingers come down to the ground, but I really can't get enough contact with the ground for it to help me be stable. So that's why I like the chair or the blocks. So we're in that warrior one, leaning into that front leg, that bent front leg, hinge forward, lifting up that back leg. You could push your belly towards the inside of that front leg for the standing leg. And see, I have my hands on a chair. You could also have them on blocks. Or you could not have them on anything. You could hold them up at your chest or by your side. And then you can come out of that, shake it out, and try again. And you don't have to have your leg up that high. We can also fold and be on our back toes. We could have a little bit up or a little bit more. So you choose here. I like that transition from warrior one into warrior three into lifting up that leg because it gives me that momentum. So you could start with the warrior legs, bending down, raising up that leg. But you can also come in with your arms up in warrior one. With your arms up, as I bring them down, I feel like it gives me some momentum to come down and lift up that leg. So you can explore both options. Maybe take a second and practice that, and then we can practice one more thing. So the next balancing pose is half moon. And half moon is similar, except for we have one arm up in the air. So I'm going to come from warrior one again. So I'm bending in that front leg, the back leg's on that back angle, raising my hands up, and I'm going to come and bring my hands down to a chair, to blocks, or to the ground, just like a warrior three, lifting up that back leg. So here we're in our warrior three, and we can raise one hand up towards the ceiling, and that sort of turns our hip open a little bit. And then we can lower that back down. Again, you could always use blocks, bringing one hand to a block, raising the other hand up. You can always use nothing, bring your hand down to the floor. But again, I don't really have that mobility. So if I bring my hand down to the floor, it's going to graze the floor or maybe be in the direction of the floor, but it's not going to give me that support. And so that's why I really like practicing with a chair, because it allows me to practice my balance without feeling so wobbly. So let's shake it out. We'll come to the other side. You can just turn and face the opposite direction. I'm going to turn around and use the other chair I have here, so you're not just seeing my back. We'll come to that mountain pose again. Taking a breath here, stepping back with that opposite leg, leaning into that front leg, and again that back foot is on a 45-degree angle. Option to raise our hands up for that warrior one, and then we can think about bending in that front knee, and the option to fold forward and lift up that back foot. And remember, we can bring our hands down to a chair, or we could bring them down to blocks. Woo! You could fall. I fall all the time. If you fall, if you fall out of it, don't worry about it. Just stand up, come back into it. Leaning into that front leg. Option to raise the hands. And we also have the option of not touching anything. So we could bring our hands to heart center or have them back behind us. You can also have them out in front. Know that bringing them out in front makes it more difficult to balance. So you can explore those options, and you can also have that leg down. There's no need to have it like way up. Either have it in line with your body or having it lower down. So take a second and practice that. Taking a breath. And then we'll do that option for that half moon practice. So we'll come to find this stable spot. In our mountain pose, we can take that foot back. Option to raise your hands up. Coming down, raising that hand up, and then maybe we want to lift up one hand towards the sky. That's going to open up our hip before our toes are facing the ground. As we do this, our hip turns a little bit, and our toes face forward. And then bringing them back down. So you could try that again. Maybe you want to try it with the blocks. Just taking a minute to play around with it. There's no such thing as a perfect pose. If you're wobbly, awesome. If you're not wobbly, awesome. If your leg's at a different height, it doesn't matter, right? We're just practicing. We're exploring what it feels like to try and balance in that front leg. And the key, I think anyway, to being the most successful in whatever version you're doing is to really focus on bending into that front knee first before you lift up that back leg. Because having that bend is going to help you support your body. And maybe fall out of it just like that. If you're going to fall out of it, go with it. Like, go with that motion. Don't try to fight it, because you don't want to hurt yourself. When you're done practicing, maybe you want to find a standing spot. We take a few breaths. We could do some calf raises coming up onto our toes. Maybe you want to do some knee circles, bringing them out. Stretching ourselves out a little bit here. You could do some arms with it. And then come to stillness. We'll take a few breaths. What went well today? Did you enjoy that balance? Just checking in with yourself. So thank you so much for practicing with me. Follow along for more plus size yoga videos.